Hello fellow Exiles, and welcome to another video. So today I wanted to discuss endgame crafting with you guys and explain how to make the best item possible with the least amount of RNG involved. So of course we all know the way of just taking an item, adding quality to it, and then just alching it and just chaos until we get a good roll. Of course that works sometimes, sometimes you get a good item and sometimes you just waste your chaos and it's nothing good. So I wanted to explain to you guys how I approach to making this item what it is. It's not the best bow, but it's definitely a good one. I did just get screwed in the end on it by RNG, but I'll get to that later. So I'll explain the process I used to get this bow what it is now. So I asked one of my friends that were doing maps to, save me a 6-socket bow if they found one. So basically this is item level 68, and yeah, one of the guys that were doing maps found one. I told him I'll pay you 10 jewelers for it, which is more than he would have gotten when he would have just vendored it, which he would have. So I told him, you give it to me and I'll add some jeweler orbs for you. So he sold it to me. Once I got the bow, I started using my fusings on it. It was still white, so I hadn't done anything with it up until that point. I used 5 fusings, bam, got a 5 link. So I was pretty happy. Getting a 5 link after only 5 fusing is very good. And I added some quality to it with the wheatstones, as you can see. And then I started using alterations on it after just making it blue with a transmute. So I set myself a goal with this bow. I wanted to have something above 140% increased physical damage, and preferably maybe attack speed roll or added physical damage on top of that. So I started using my alterations, and it took about 80 of them, and I finally got my first physical roll over 100, which was 143%, with the 15% increased stun duration on enemies. So not the best, but something I could work with. So what I did then was I used a Regal Orb on it, which made it yellow, and added another stat. And I added the physical damage, which was one of the 2 best stats I could have hoped for. Either that or attack speed would have been great. So now I'm sitting with this bow. I'm pretty happy. I've reduced the RNG to a minimum, and I've used, I had to deal with some RNG like the Regal, and it was, in my favor. So I was pretty happy. So now I started collecting the Exalted Orbs, because it only had 3 stats out of 6 possible, so I wanted to exalt it. And that's exactly what I did. So I gathered up 3 Exalted Orbs, which is basically, right now, I paid for it, I think it cost in the end about 37 Chaos Orbs in total. I did do some trading. I had a pretty good dagger, which I sold for 1 Exalted and 48 Alks. But, whatever I had to do to get there. So I had my 3 Exalteds, and I used them on the bow. This is where, of course, the last part of RNG comes in. Where you just have to pray you're going to get something good. And I got completely screwed, to be honest. I got really low cold damage roll, 5 life gained when you kill an enemy, and a pretty high lightning resist roll, which doesn't really do anything to me since I'm already capped on lightning resist even before I had the bow. So yeah, that's pretty much what happened. But this bow could have been so much better. I could have gotten an increased physical damage roll again, so I could have had a double roll, or I could have had some attack speed. But it's just how Path of Exile works, how RNG works, and I got screwed. But I think this is the best way to kind of control how the item looks at the start. Try to get those 2 or 3 stats that you want. Of course, if I regaled it and I got something bad, maybe I didn't want to waste Exalted, so I just do the process over and over again. This is a process which requires you to have a lot of currency, but when you find a perfect item or a perfect base for an item, this is what you want to do. Of course, some of you might say, you could have just used those 36 or 37 chaos and just roll the bow over and over. Of course I could have done that as well, but that has a bigger RNG effect than the process I used. So it's a bit up to everyone, you know, to decide how you want to approach making a good item. If you would just want to use the chaos, or if you want to try to control what you have and then build it up from that. Of course, both techniques have their deficits and, you know, their positives, but in the end, every person has to decide for himself how he wants to approach making a good item. This is just the way I like to do it. So yeah, thanks for watching, and I hope this helped, and I'll see you guys next time.